These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're
I think we may have it, at least partially. So, welcome everyone. Was supposed to start with my intro file, but it couldn't find it. I must have deleted it, which is nuts. So, what we are doing, let me check one thing here. Interesting. If anyone's around, I do see 6 people. Put something in chat so I can see if the frickin' widget is working. It's probably not. I'm still working it out. But what we are going to be talking about today, as I've been, if you've checked out the prior streams or the prior videos on history, I sure hope we can get the chat working because I would love to entertain any questions. But what we are going to be dealing with today is, and I will be putting a file up on the screen, but it is LP News number 4. So let me give you a bit of a story with these. As you can tell, this looks like it was produced. Can you see those other notifications? Ooh, I got a chat. Okay, so. All right, Kenneth, you're helping me out. You're my guinea pig. Were you able to just see a MeWe notification flash across the screen? If so, just let me know, because I'm trying to figure out what I need to do to make sure this all works properly. Okay, so what we got here is LP News number 4, which does look like, and it probably was, just produced in someone's house. Remember, this is pre-computer time, which is impressive. which means that somebody typeset this. We don't even know. Okay, you did see it. Okay, now I know I need to turn off all notifications on this computer. Thank you so much, Kenneth. It really helps me out. So, somebody had to typeset this. Today, us whippersnappers, right? Or I'm saying my age. If you can remember mimeograph machines, and boy, those smell good. I mean, that was just the way to get, elementary school kids high as a kite. Man, I was always volunteering for that mimeograph machine. In any event, though, typesetting is where you actually had to physically. I mean, we do that kind of today with newsletters or other computer files. But when you're doing it on a typewriter and by hand, this was quite a project. I mean, you had a plan where your paragraphs would go, and these fonts, we're so spoiled. It isn't, now we can just download a million fonts. We don't really realize how difficult things may have been at that time. You know what I mean? So, what I've been doing is going month through LP News. Of course, I just started because we are on March 1972. We haven't even elected a permanent Libertarian National Committee yet. We haven't had our first presidential convention yet. I believe that was going to be in June 1972. But I figured by going through the party newsletters, we could all learn 50 years of history together. Because here's where everything gets documented. And in bonus episodes, I'm pulling in things from other sources, like maybe Reason Magazine from the 70s, or anything else I can find from the same time frame. To me, that sounds interesting. I hope it sounds interesting to a lot of you guys. Any questions, since I do have the chat up? Kenneth, maybe if you get a chance, you can let me know if you're from Facebook. Are you watching this on Facebook, or if you're watching this on YouTube? So I can kind of know where the comments are coming from to troubleshoot if there's any area that they're not coming from. And yes, we're going to go through this whole newsletter, but I like to really dissect it. And this is an original. This isn't a photocopy, so you can see the age around the corners. I mean, maybe you're not like me, but I just find all that stuff completely fascinating. The party at this point was 4 months old. But let me see if I can pull it up here, because for me, getting anything done with this program. So let's pull this over here. Let me put the chat up here, because my face really isn't what's important here. It's probably the less you see of it, the better. So here we go. Let's make this a little bigger so we can see it. So you're watching on you. Oh, it was really? That's the year you were born? That is awesome. That is so fantastic. If anyone is watching from Facebook, if you could try to comment so I can tell if Facebook comments are coming through. If I don't acknowledge you, that means it's not coming through. And maybe you can shoot me a private message to let me know you commented, and I could try to take care of this later. This is already a big improvement. So you were born March of 19. That is kismet, right? You come to this episode right on that. I was born in 1967, so I would have been just under 5. I'd have been 5 in October of that year. Interesting. Hey, Amy from Facebook. Yes. God is good. Okay. So let's go through some of the things that are on here. Again, bear with me because some of this might be boring to some of you all, but I hope not, because I'm just full of trivia. So newsletter number 4, March 1972. Now you see up here, our national headquarters at that time, and I'm going to be looking at my physical copy rather than the one that's up on the screen. It says 7748 Lowell Boulevard. If I had been thinking, I'll probably do it as a bonus episode, but that is where David Nolan lived at the time, in Westminster. That's why there's this debate. Was the party founded in Westminster, or was it founded in Colorado Springs? And let me pull up on a different screen here. You want to know what else is the problem is I have two screens and I can't figure out which way the mouse goes. There's something very interesting that goes on in Colorado between Westminster and Colorado Springs in this debate. Westminster wants really bad to be the founding. So let me pull up this other document because I think you'll find this funny. Let me see if I can do my screen share here. Yes. Don't use. What's it saying? Why is it saying that? Hold on. I'm sorry. Don't use. I need to shut down all my programs when I do this. So let me pull that back up if I can. Current application, right? Why won't it share? Secondary display? Why will it not share? There we go. So I need to close this or move this out of the way somehow. How do I show? So let's overlay. Clear all overlays. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, so this is from Elpedia. And as you can see, Westminster, Colorado did a proclamation. And they are claiming ownership of the birthplace of the Libertarian Party. So, has their little proclamation of whereas, and this was 25 years ago from today, we're almost at the midway point. So in August of 96, Westminster, Colorado did an official proclamation that the Libertarian Party was born in Westminster. So take that, Colorado Springs. I find that amusing. Okay, I think I messed up. And hopefully you guys are back. I accidentally closed the program. Learning experiment. So let's now go back to the actual document we were looking at. So I want to go to here, correct. And back to my overlays, new image overlay. Okay, we're going to go back to this document. Okay. So that address up there being in Westminster, they claimed us. Let me see if I can get the chat window back up. And make it small again. Really my fault. So that's what's going on up here. That's old David Nolan's old home. Totally cute. There will be a picture either in the show notes or in a bonus episode. Now down here, you guys will recognize. Ooh, oh, I see. Okay, I'm figuring out how to zoom. You guys will recognize from the last convention. You know the TANSTAFL acronym, which is there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. So that saying that some people got really butthurt about, saying it sounded cold and calculated or whatever for our last convention, was actually the official slogan of the party at this time. And that right there. Now, how did I figure out how to make it bigger? Here we go. Can we? No, we can't make it any bigger than that. We can only go as as big as the page. That right there is the original logo prior to when we were using the Statue of Liberty, prior to the chicken. And since we had a Facebook check-in, if anyone is watching on YouTube, if you figured out that I came back, please comment so I know that everything reconnected properly. Or if anyone is watching on Facebook, if you could scoot over the YouTube and do me a solid. If not, that's cool. Now, you might be wondering what this is all about. Why is the arrow all crooked like that. The reason is that is the original, what we would now call the world's smallest political quiz. The world's smallest political quiz, as we know it now, is a diamond with the topmost little quadrant up top there was the Libertarian quadrant. It used to be a square, and it was turned clockwise 25%. So the Libertarian quadrant was right up here. It was up in the upper right-hand corner before. I'll have to figure out when they actually changed that design. So this is supposed to be the bar across and then that arrow up there. So now you got a little bit of history about the old logo. And there was a name for this old logo. It was called the Liber sign. And I believe that was adopted the month before. We did a little bit of an episode of it. So let's now go through this newsletter. And of course, you can read it along with me, but as some people will be watching this on audio, we're going to pretty much read it and discuss as we read, unless there's something that's just like too long and rambly and we don't feel like reading. So here they are, 4 months old, getting all, hyped up to take over the world. Formula for success. A member a month. Hey, Kenneth, thank you. You're back on YouTube. Oh, it's giving me the little logo of where you're from. So you are from YouTube. Yay. Okay, so formula for success, a member a month. I mean, one member, a member a month. So here we go. Encouraging as our progress to date has been, and it has been actually. You got to remember, these are just some guys. Most of them came from the Republican Party. It was Young Americans for Freedom, I believe, that they were getting disillusioned with. And I believe Young Americans for Freedom is the predecessor of Young Americans for Liberty. We'll learn this as we go, but I'm kind of speaking off the cuff here. And they did not like what was going on. So a group of them decided they were going to start their own political party. I mean, that actually is kind of bold, particularly just picture yourself in 1971 starting a new political party. If we were going to do that today, it'd be difficult enough, right? But we could just get on the internet and find out which state requires this, which state requires that. Imagine trying to figure this out pre-internet. I mean, and these guys didn't know nothing, didn't know anything, a double negative, about starting a political party. I see David says Marshall Fritz changed the design to a diamond in the mid-'80s when he was forming the Advocates. Thank you. I did not know that. See, we're going to be teaching each other here. I knew I had a document on that, but couldn't, get it off the top of my head. But as we go through history month by month, we will all learn this together. Each time I do these, I learn something new. You got to understand, while I am the chair of the historical committee, most of my work is very mechanical. It's not learning the history, it's archiving it. So it's making sure things are scanned properly, making sure they're filed properly, making sure, all the file names on LP. It's not a lot of reading. So that's another reason why I decided to do these shows, because I want to learn more. I handle these documents, but you handle them. If you read each of them as you picked them up, I'd be doing this for 50 years, which I might still be doing for 50 years. So here we go. Encouraging as our progress to date has been, there are some cold, hard facts we must face. And primary among these is that if the Libertarian Party is to become a factor to be reckoned with in American politics, we must multiply our strength by approximately 100. Ambitious. 100 in the next 7 months. Now, also think, how are you getting word out pre-internet? This is the stuff I like to imagine, I don't know. It just impresses me so much. And here we go. If we can do this, and then notice the dash dash, because to do an M dash with the typewriter, that's what you did, dash dash or hyphen hyphen. And there could be no theoretical reason why we cannot. We will be able to inculcate, nice word there, David, inculcate enough voters with libertarian ideas that we will have a measurable effect on the outcome of at least some of the races this November. And they actually did. They did something phenomenal in November. Better than we've ever done, actually, in some respects. We got an electoral college vote in November of 1972, and we've never done that again. And consequently, we'll be able to influence the course of events in the next few years. They actually thought they were going to take over the world in the 70s, and I actually think we could have. A lot of people get really frustrated that we haven't made more progress in 50 years. And, you know, as I want to do, I do my biblical analogies, or because, that's my background. But, there's a proverb that says about the double-minded man. We've been a double-minded party. We haven't stuck to one trajectory and all focused on it. It's been a constant tug of war since our beginning between, do we do a moderate message, or do we message this way or that way? Where if we had just stuck with the founding principles and hit it hard, I actually think America would be completely different today. Anyway. Otherwise, we will simply be relegated to the status of an obscure footnote in future volumes describing the establishment of the, first letter caps, total state in America. They were so mad back then. And look at how far we've even fallen. Not we as a party, we as a country. They were, it's like also when we think back to the Whiskey Rebellion, or how mad Spooner was. Could you even imagine Spooner? Today, you'd have a heart attack. Thus, it's absolutely vital that each and every LP member make an all-out effort to recruit new members on a regular and continuing basis. And that has not changed. We point this out because, despite prior exhortations, too many members seem to feel they've done their bit for the cause simply by sending in their $4, $6, or $12. From a past episode, those amounts were amounts for memberships. That's how much National Party membership was at that time. I can't remember which was which, but there was student, and things like that. You can go back to, I think it was the February episode. We appreciate this support, of course, but if that's all you do, this party is going to be a failure. And I'm noticing they didn't capitalize party. That's interesting. All right, let's, where were we at? All right, to be effective, you're going to have to make a concerted effort to reach other libertarians and potential libertarians and persuade them to do their bit too. Thus, we strongly urge each and every one of you to set yourself a personal goal of bringing in at least one new member a month between now and November. We all should still be doing that. Have you brought in a new member? I don't know if I have this month. I try. But that's a pretty modest goal I think we should all set for ourselves. And when we say new member, we're meaning a new national member. If you guys really want to know why that's important to be a national member and not just a state party member, I can let you know. I can let you know why. I know a lot of people are really sour on the National Party. They're pissed at somebody. They're pissed at this LNC member or this or that. You're really cutting off your nose to spite your face if you say, well, then I'm not going to support the National Party and just support your state party, which your state party should be getting your first support. If you can only support one, support your state party. And if within your state you can only support your county, do your county first. Your priority should be county, state, national, in my opinion. But in order for your state to succeed, national has to succeed. So you really are kneecapping your state party if you just completely disregard the National Party. It does have a very important function. Okay. We appreciate the support. Oh, no, we got to keep. Oh, here we go. Thus, we strongly urge each and every one of you to set yourself a personal goal of bringing in at least one new member a month. Each of you almost certainly knows 7 people who can be persuaded to join and support the Libertarian Party. Here we go. I need to when you get old, you start doing your finger along, closer up, closer up. Oh, I'm sorry, these 50-year-old eyes. And even if you don't know 7 such people, where did it get 7? Oh, okay. It's between this month and November. Each of you almost certainly knows 7 people who can be persuaded to join and support the Libertarian Party. Friends, relatives, business associates, 7 such people. You can find them in your local SIL, and I believe that's the Society for Individual Liberty, YAF, which is the Young Americans for Freedom, JBS. Anyone in chat know who JBS is? That is not familiar to me. ACLU, or Liberty Amendment Organization, if nowhere else. The Liberty Amendment could be a whole other episode. The Liberty Amendment was actually in our first platform. So we'll probably then be talking about it when we start dealing with the June convention. To encourage your efforts, we have set up a new incentive program. Starting immediately, we will award a 14-karat gold LiberSign pin to all members who accumulate 10 membership points. Has anyone ever seen this pin? I've never seen one. I wonder if anyone earned one. Man, the historical committee needs that. If any of you out there have one of these, I'm not asking you to give it up, but I am asking you to leave it to the party in your will, though hopefully you'll live for a long time, forever if you wish. But when you are no longer with us, would you please leave this to the party? We don't have one. This is a number low enough to be within everyone's reach. 5 regular memberships, or 3 regulars and 4 students, or 2 sustaining and 2 regulars will do it, for example. I think a new chat? No. There is no time limit on this offer. Ooh, no time limit. Yes, John Birch Society, that's it, Kenneth. So allegedly, we could still do this today and claim our pin. Let's throw Joe Bishop Henchman for a loop and say, hey, there was no time limit on it. I want my 14-karat LiberSign pin. Okay, just be sure to fill your name as the source of information about the party before you give them out to assure credit for your efforts. Other materials are available at very reasonable prices. We particularly recommend the use of the temporary platform. We went over that in a past episode. In the show notes, I'm going to give a link or an index to all the past episodes so that you know where you can find these things where I say we went over this. And as I'm doing this, I'm figuring out different ways to set up my desk to make this easier, because the way I'm having to read and go between things isn't working out for me. And reprints of the article, The Case for a Libertarian Political Party. I also did a whole episode on that. And I also did an episode because at the same time that the article, The Case for a Libertarian Political Party, came out, another competing article, The Case Against a Libertarian Political Party, came out. And I paid good money to get that out of my own personal funds, I think. My husband's probably, I hope he's not watching this, but this was a while ago. This is money already spent. It's not new. I'm terrible with money for a libertarian, but I think they were asking $75 for this paper, and I got them down, I think, to like 40. But it's the only time I've ever seen this. And I don't know if it's up on Elpedia yet, but if it's not, I will get it up on Elpedia. Because just so you know, as I go through these things after the episode, I go and type all this out on Elpedia to be able to hyperlink it and fill in historical information. But the temporary platform is definitely on Elpedia, and The Case for a Libertarian Political Party by David Nolan is also on Elpedia. Please watch that episode or read it, because a lot of people, we still have arguments today about what the purpose of the LP is. David Nolan laid it out. And I know a lot of people will say, well, just because he said that's what it is, we're not bound by the dead hands of David Nolan. Read it. Read it. You ignore the vision of the founders to our peril. Plus, the way they set up the party, and when we get into what happened with the Statement of Principles again in 1972, The statement of principles is to have the statement of principles is absolutely incompatible with any other vision of the Libertarian Party. And I'm going to say some things that are going to upset somebody right now, but I've said it before. The founders laid out certain goals. I can't remember how many. I think it was like 5. Like the Libertarian Party will do this, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this. Do you want to know what was not in one of the numbered goals? Electing people to office. Now, I know that sounds strange, and some people, ugh. After he listed the goals, David said, and we might just elect some libertarians to office. The founders considered those other goals more important. More important's probably not the right word. More doable, maybe. I think they realized even then that the way our system is set up, it's set up against us to begin with. So if our only metric of success is electing libertarians, or if our only goal is electing libertarians, you're going to get burnt out and disillusioned very fast. And we make that mistake with new people, and we're going to do it this time. We've just brought in a bunch of people from the Jorgensen campaign. Absent an act of God, she's not going to win this election. And that's okay. But for the new people, they might not realize that's okay. Or they might get involved with their state party and go, well, next year we're going to elect someone, depending upon what races are in their state. And then they don't. So if the only metric of success is going to be electing candidates, and we do elect some, you are setting up new people and yourself for failure. Because we don't do that often. So was that what the founders thought was the metric of success? No. Because they realized, and I thank Susan Hogarth for this expression she taught me, politics is a lagging indicator of change that has already taken place. We will elect libertarians once society starts changing to be more libertarian. Some people have it backwards. They think society will become more libertarian once we elect more libertarians. That is not how it works. When did the laws for, let's say, gay marriage, and we're not going to go into whether we think there should be laws or not, but when did they happen? They happened after the societal change already happened. It always works that way. So they viewed the primary measure of success educating people and making new libertarians and bringing them in. And when we reach critical mass with that, then we would elect libertarians, not the other way around. And this is where I said we've been a double-minded man for 50 years. Because there's been this tug of war where some people want to make our only purpose electing candidates. We're a political party, and that's what political parties do. Well, is that the only thing they do? No. I'd say the very fact that we are founded to do something a little different shows that they weren't. And the people who say electing candidates is nah. The fact is, the two are two sides of the same coin. But the way how you walk through a door face first and not ass first, we have to lead with education, because it's the education that's going to elect libertarians. The early party, for the most part, knew that. But we've drifted from that. And the funny thing is, the more we concentrate on simply electing libertarians, the less successful we will be at electing libertarians. Okay, let's continue. Some of you may feel that we at National Headquarters, National Headquarters is pretty much David Nolan's villa, are becoming pushy. Perhaps so, and if this offends you, we apologize, for no offense is intended. But the future success of this party depends on you. Still hold true today. We hope you will accept this responsibility as a challenge and an opportunity. Progress report. Despite, you want to know something? They used better vocabulary back then. Like, they didn't dumb down the words. I do not think in any release that we put out today, we would use the word inculcate. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. I don't think so. I'm on the APRC. If you don't, the APRC is the Advertising Publication Review Committee. A lot of you don't know that every single thing, didn't mean to eat the mic. Every single thing that goes out, not social media wise so much, but the emails you get, the paper things you get, they've all been reviewed. Nothing goes out from the party without being reviewed by the APRC. And when I mean everything, I mean everything. Even when they change the envelope, the APRC has to review it. And it's not reviewing to change it, it's reviewing for two things. Well, actually, is it three? Three things. Does it violate the bylaws? Does it contradict the platform? Or does it paint the party in poor light? Those are the only three reasons we can disapprove of something. So it can't be, we would like you to talk about something different, or we would like you to use the word inculcate. We do some proofreading, but that's not really our role. Okay. Despite carping comments, we wouldn't use the word carping today either. From a few libertarians, carping libertarians say it's not so. This is before social media. Of the neutralizer, I love this, and too pure to participate schools. See, nothing changes. It's the same. The Libertarian Party has continued to move steadily forward during the last 30 days. Total party membership in national and state organizations is now over 300, which makes us, in terms of active dues-paying members, the fourth largest of the numerous movement organizations which have sprung up in the last 5 years. The late 60s to the early 70s was the Cambrian explosion of libertarianism. Exciting. A lot of organizations came up during that time. In less than 4 months, LP members have distributed over 10,000 pieces of party literature, including nearly 2,500 copies of the temporary platform, with material now going out of national headquarters, that is David Nolan's villa, at the rate of over 1,000 pieces per week. Can you imagine? It was him and Susan Nolan, who was his wife at the time, who was also the first chair of the party, if I'm remembering correctly. That was them doing this with typewriters. This is quite an achievement. Yeah, it is. To our knowledge, no other libertarian group has ever accomplished so much within such a short time of its founding. Those of you who have made this possible deserve the highest commendation. In particular, and anyone who knows these people, give me some info on them. In particular, thanks are owed to Paula Panto in New York, June Grem in Illinois, Pete McAlpine in Michigan, Luke Zell, we'll talk about him in a minute, in Colorado, and John Taylor in California. I believe probably all of these people have passed away, but I believe Mr. Zell passed away. Now, Mr. Zell, it's his living room in Colorado Springs where the official, the state required paperwork or procedure for the Libertarian Party was done. That's why a lot of people say the actual birthplace was in Colorado Springs. I believe it was in Westminster when David started putting the plans together. I don't think the fact that they were around a table when they did the papers really counts. That's just me. The argument over where the party was formed, there's an interview with David Nolan about this. I'll put the link in the show notes, or maybe I'll play it. Maybe I'll play it on my channel. The reporter who did that interview was kind enough to give me the audio files. Let's see. Okay. Many others have also done an outstanding job, but space limitations prevent a complete listing. So to all of you who have done so much, many thanks, and keep up the good work. Now hold on a second here. That looks like an M dash. I'm sorry, I'm a grammar geek. But down here, doesn't that look like an M dash to you? That's definitely longer than a hyphen. If they were able to do an M dash here, why didn't they do one up there? Sorry, things like that just really catch my attention. And hey, my fellow Oxford comma people, they use the Oxford comma. Sorry, I'm such a grammar geek. That's why I'm secretary, I think. All right. Next page. There's the dollar signs up at the top. All right. The little saying at the top, they say the best things in life are free. Well, you can give them to the birds and the bees. I need money. That's what I want. I know that song, don't you? They say the best things in life are free. Well, you can give them to the birds and the bees. I want money. It's not like, I don't know. Sorry, I know I can't sing, but I like to. Whether I can or can't, you know. God said make a joyful noise, and I certainly do the noise part very well. All right. It has been observed that an army travels on its stomach. In the same sense, it could be said that a political organization travels on its wallet. Yep. And at the moment, our wallet would be good for a trip around the block. Oh, boy. Okay. This is not a serious problem at the moment. For the next couple of months, we're not going much beyond the end of the block in any case. But come June, we're going to need a lot of bread. That's so 70s, isn't it? We're going to need a lot of bread if we're going to accomplish much. We'll have a candidate to fly around the country. And, tons of literature to print up and distribute, and an office to run, not to mention ads to run in mass media publications, and hopefully some TV spots devoted to specific issues. A lot of these expenses can be taken care of out of membership dues, provided we get the 10,000 members we're aiming for. Yeah, it's the Beatles. That's right. I'm sorry. I'm not. Yeah, Beatles. Like I should know that, right? Thank you so much, Michael. How come it says Barrett Strong though for the? So were the Beatles quoting somebody named Barrett Strong? Anyone know who Barrett Strong is? I wanted to talk about that 10,000 members. We barely have over that now. Well, barely's probably, I exaggerate or underdo sometimes. We've got, I don't know what the latest number is, but it's around 20,000. But considering it's been 50 years, we can do a hell of a lot better than that. But some of them will be, okay, where are we at here? What's that? Oh, the expenses. But some of them will be too big. And in any case, we'll need the money, or at least part of it, before we get the members. Sorry for whatever notification that was that just came up. I'll fix that for next time. Unless we get the money, we won't be able to reach people to persuade them to become members and / or to contribute to the LP's campaign. So we've decided to set up some special funds to take care of certain specific expenses. Following is a description of these funds in order of increasing amount required and also in order of urgency of need. We know that most of you out there aren't rich, but undoubtedly many of you have access to people who are rich. And our experience is that it's far easier to get money for a specific purpose than for an unspecified use. That is still true. Another rabbit trail, but that's the whole point of this. You could read this on your own if it was just reading. Did you know that if you're giving to the LP, be it your monthly dues, not monthly, your yearly dues, unless you're a life member, or you're a Liberty Pledger, meaning you give monthly. And please, if you can afford it, I think it's as little as $10 a month. Give monthly. You know, organizations kind of need to know money coming in. But where I was going with that is, did you know you can earmark whatever you're giving? So say you are mad at National for something, but you believe in some of the things National is doing, say ballot access or, hint, hint, the historical committee. You can earmark your monthly pledge or your yearly membership dues, or if you buy your lifetime membership, part or all of your lifetime membership to a fund for something that you believe in. That's the way mostly the historical committee raises our budget. This year so far, I'm going to make a pitch for the historical committee here for a second. We have a $2,500 a year budget. We've been in existence, historical committee, since what? 2017, I think? Or was it 2018? No, it's 2017. So 3 years going on 4 years. Our first year, our budget was $10,000 because we had to move all of the records to Colorado. But let me tell you something. Not a dime of that came out of the general fund. I fundraised for all of it. And I'm proud of that fact because there's some people who don't believe in the historical project and will bitch and moan if we spend any money. So I've always said we're going to do our best to raise our own budget. Because of Rona, this year, we're short. Though I do think I've still raised more than we actually spent. But I need to raise about another $1,000 before the end of the year, if possible. And we're in November. If you are considering getting a life membership, please considering earmarking up to $1,000 of it to the Historical Preservation Committee. The work, and you know, the money, I squeeze every penny out of it. When I tell you the way I'm able to cut costs, you'd be impressed. I'm pretty cheap. Or if you are now a monthly pledger, please consider earmarking your monthly pledge to the Historical Preservation Committee. That's what I do. And I also, I believe, did the entirety of when I signed up for a life member. Anyway, enough with that. So just letting you know, you can earmark your donations. They don't kind of advertise that because Dan Fishman's probably like screaming at me doing this because they would rather have unspecified funds, but I'm just letting you know. It's your money. You can earmark it. Let me tell you something about cheap. We needed a lot of office supplies to categorize these records. Do you think I bought any of that? You want to know what I did? My butt got on Nextdoor or any meeting I could go to, and I said, hey, a lot of places are going digital now. Law office, doctor offices, whatever. If you're about to clear out your filing cabinets and all your manila folders and hanging folders, don't put them into the landfill. We'll take them. I don't care if they're used. I'll slap another label on it. And I've gotten thousands and thousands that way. I've traveled, my husband and I, hours to pick up, big loads of these supplies. Because I don't want to spend money where I don't have to spend money. I believe the only supplies we paid for were banker's boxes, and I've gotten some of those for free too. Okay, let's continue. Where were we at? Oh, Lord. Okay, here we go. Many are rich. Oh, here's the funds. Okay, convention fund, $1,000 to cover some of the costs of our June get-together. The more we raise, the lower we can keep the cost to participants, and the more people who will therefore be able to attend. Office expenses, $2,500 to pay for a real, fully equipped office, including the huge phone bills that are inevitable. For 5 months, early June through early November. What's funny is we're so used now to not really having to pay like for long distance and stuff like that. Those of you who are more my age will remember. Sorry, I keep bumping the mic. I get way too animated that you had to pay like a lot. And the National Party used to have, some of you will remember this, a Watts line. But anyway, I digress. Salaries. $5,000 to pay 2 people to work full-time for that same 5-month period. So $2,500 for someone to work full-time for 5 months? Eek. I don't know if that was good or bad for that time. Volunteers can do a lot, but 2 full-timers is a must. Travel expenses. $5,000 to send our candidate and/or other spokesmen around the country, spreading the good word. Praise the Lord. Ah, all hail Rothbard. Advertising. $10,000 to pay for a few ads in large circulation publications. Once we get the first few placed, our advertising should be self-sustaining, i.e., the ads will bring in enough new members and contributions to pay for more ads. But we have to have seed money to get started. You need money to make money. $23,500 may sound like an immense amount. For politics, no, it's not. It does to me, though. That'd be a lot of money for me, but just in general. But it's only about 1/1000th of the amount the major parties will be spending. I think they underestimated. I think they spent a hell of a lot more than that even then. And any less than that will have no effect. So please rack your brains a bit and go hit up some potential contributors. And even if all you get is $50 or $100. Now, that was a lot of money for 1972, particularly if you're, somebody got paid $22,500 to work full-time for 5 months. 50 or $100 would be a lot. 50 or $100 is a lot for me right now. We'll report on the progress of each of these 5 funds in future issues. Okay, now, more news. State chairman. We now have state LP chairman in 5 states. Raring to go. I love that. Raring to go. With several other states on the verge of organizing. Contact your state chairman if you live in one of these states for plans on activity. And if you know someone in one of these states who might be interested in joining the LP, send their name to the state chairman and write to your friend telling him how he can get active in the party. Take Colorado. First state chair of Colorado, I guess. I thought David Nolan was, but here we go. Luke Zell. Hey, we have an address here for Luke Zell. This would be then the address of where the party was, quote unquote, legally formed. I'm gonna have to go stalk this house now too. I already stalked David Nolan's old house. Wayne, after you shut the door, we're gonna need to go to 4785 Stanton, wherever that is in Colorado Springs. Oklahoma, D. Frank Robinson. Shout out. Woo, woo. D. Frank is still with us and is still a treasure. I didn't know he was the first chair of Oklahoma. I got pictures and stuff since I'm going to have to edit this anyway because I fucked up in the beginning. Okay, D. Frank Robinson, Oklahoma City. D. Frank, do you still live at that address? Tell me something. Tell me something about that address. Give us some history. Texas, Keith R. Jones. Anyone know this guy? Never heard of him. Utah, Carl Bray. Wow. And Wyoming, Bruce Jones of Laramie. Okay. Membership goals. 1,000 by convention time, 10,000 by election day. I wonder if they made it. I don't know these answers. And then there's this little info box. The Libertarian Party newsletter, which is what this was originally called before it was called LP News. So I just call it LP News because that's what it eventually became, is published on the 15th of each month by the National Office of the Libertarian Party. Items of interest to political activists in the Libertarian movement are welcome. Editor, David F. Nolan. All righty. Next page. This was kind of the format for a while. You had then, on the third page was always this political perspectives. Now, these I do as a bonus episode. We're not going to read it this time because it's not directly LP news. It's more just general politics of the age. So we'll just kind of give a little bit of a summary of what it's about, and I'll do a bonus episode on these. Now, let me tell you with the bonus episodes. I put them up on Patreon first. I am terrible. I'm great at fundraising for the party. I'm terrible at fundraising for myself. Some of you will have seen my Facebook rants today. Multiple rants today. I could be a lot more effective if I could spend more time just doing libertarian stuff. No one can doubt the passion and the drive and the fact that I don't sleep. But, you know, the way it is right now, I've got a very, very demanding full-time job that obviously has to take up most of my time. My dream is to dedicate more time to activism. And I think those of you know, those of you who kind of agree with my perspective, hopefully I'm not thinking too highly of myself. But I do think I'm persuasive. I certainly have the passion, and I know I can get a lot of work done. So I'm going to stick on this screen somewhere in the final editing my Patreon link. Please consider becoming a patron. It would mean a great deal to me, and you will get historical stuff first, because I always put up the bonus episodes on Patreon first. Sometimes for months they stay there. Sometimes it's just a few days ahead of time. When I start doing more regular episodes, the pre-recorded episodes will go up on Patreon first as well. So, okay, that part's always very uncomfortable for me. All right, political perspective, the return of horrible Hubert. I don't even know who Hubert is. Who is Hubert here? Let's try to find who they're talking about. Or someone in chat, do you know who they're talking about? Do you see a whole name here? Who is Hubert? Well, I don't see. Is it, I see Humphrey. So it's a Hubert Humphrey? That kind of rings a bell to me. All right, well, that will be a bonus episode, and I will do some research on who that person is and why they're significant to the LP. All right, last page. Bits and pieces. And again, this was always the final part. All righty. Pending legislation. Vivian Kellums, the tax crusader, has asked for our help in her current project to remove the unfair tax burden. Is there any other kind? I love it. There was this great bumper sticker that was in the historical records. Actually, it was on the side of one of the filing cabinets that got shipped to me, because Wes Benedict was the executive director at the time, and he figured it was some things wasn't. It was better not to box them up, just to stick the entire filing cabinet in the U-Haul. But on the side, there was this bumper sticker that said, "Taxes are revolting. Why aren't you?" And I love it. We wouldn't put something like that out today. And I'll leave it up to you to decide whether that's good or bad. I think it's bad that we wouldn't. Okay. Unfair tax burden on singles and childless marrieds. To help, she asked you to urge your congressman to support H.R. 850. We'll have to take a look at what these bills are. And your senators to support S. 869. Wilbur Mills also needs a push to get him to hold Ways and Means hearings on H.R. 850. Okay. New publication. Outlook, the Libertarian Monthly, formerly called The Abolitionist. And I have some issues of those. Began publication this month. I think I have Outlook. I've been buying up stuff on eBay for historical purposes, and I think I did end up, I know I have issues of The Abolitionist. A regular columnist for this journal of political commentary and satire will include Rothbard, Childs, that's Roy Childs, Greenberg, Hess, what Hess is this? Tuchel, that would be Jerome Tuchel, who ended up running for governor in New York, and Baker. Subscriptions are $5 a year, $9 for 2 years, $13 for 3 years. Trial 3-issue subscription, $1. Right to Outlook in Newark, New Jersey. Okay. Idaho ballot requirements. See, they had already started to learn how we get bent over. Dennis Hollenbeck has provided us with the following info concerning Idaho's ballot requirements. 1,500 petition signatures are required. Legislation is still pending to determine the deadlines. Okay, this answered one of the questions I posed earlier. How did they find out, like, all the various laws and requirements pre-internet? Well, it looks like they had people out researching, or people would just say, hey, I know this. So thank you, Dennis Hollenbeck, for helping about Idaho. I wonder what Idaho's ballot access requirements are now. Okay. Harassing politicians the easy way. Hold on a second. I got to turn on the heater. It is cold. I'm in the basement in Colorado. Cold. The warm never gets ground, is what I was going to say. The ground never gets warm in Colorado. So I have to turn that on, but it's one of those silent ones. I don't know if you've ever seen the little heaters that kind of look like they're portable, but they look like radiators. That's what I have. Okay, harassing politicians the easy way. That is fantastic. Many of you are undoubtedly receiving appeals for support from various power seekers. Oh, I love this. And often these mailings contain post-paid return envelopes for you to use in mailing back a check. Why not use these to send the Politico in question a piece of LP literature? I know a lot of people who still do this today, particularly Sam Goldstein does this quite a bit. It just might have an effect, and at worst, you've just caused the pig to waste 8 cents. Well, now we know how much postage was. Oh, so remember earlier it said he was sending out 1,000 pieces of literature a week at 8 cents each. Now I wonder who was paying for that. I bet you David Nolan was paying for a lot of it out of his pocket. LP cited in new book. Uh-oh, I see a book I'm going to have to get. The 1972 edition of Key Influences in the American Right. Now, remember that most of the LP founders, with the exception, I think Carl Bray wasn't from the right, but most of the LP founders were from the Republican Party. So we did get, just like today, very much lumped in with the right in early publications. Okay, so the 1972 edition of Key Influences in the American Right contains a write-up on the Committee to Organize a Libertarian Party. Also items on several other libertarian groups and publications, as well as many conservative groups. Copies free from the publisher. So this was coming out of Denver, so that's how they got the mention, because obviously very big in Colorado. Halifax Press. I wonder if they're still around. Contest deadline extended. The deadline for the membership recruiting contest announced in January, whereby LP members can win cash prizes up to $100, has been extended 1 month to May 30th. May 30th is Walpurgisnacht. All right. New executive committee member. So they didn't officially have an LNC yet. I haven't yet gathered all the names of the people who are like on this temporary LNC, I guess we call it, but they call it executive committee. I have a name to add to that. Bill Danks of Hawaii. Anyone know Bill Danks? Oh, look at this. Region 1 has accepted a position as a, what's TEC? Oh, temporary executive committee rep from Region 1. Bill, as you may recall, was a leading figure in the census resistance 2 years ago. Now, what's interesting is that Hawaii was Region 1. It's kind of become a tradition that whatever region has Alaska in it is Region 1. The rest of the region numbers are kind of, at least today, somewhat arbitrary. At one point, the party, though, had fixed regions, and I think we did have fixed regions in the early 70s. All right, Libertarian candidates. I'm shaking a little because it's cold. Stephen D. Sims, Republican candidate for Congress in Idaho's 1st District. So he's like a Liberty Republican? I don't know. This is kind of weird that they put a Republican in here because they normally didn't do things like that. But, I mean, this is before anyone could register Libertarian, so. All right. Anyway, I'm sorry. That threw me for a loop. Steve is a fruit grower in Caldwell, Idaho, home of Caxton Press, and judging from his campaign literature is our kind of man. He believes that what this country needs is to respect property and human rights, which common sense tells us are one and the same. I agree. It's funny that the same disputes get rehashed over and over and over. I know Ben Shapiro likes to say facts don't care about your feelings, and I don't really care for that expression too much because it kind of treats us as robots, even though there is a truth to it. I've kind of co-opted that to say history doesn't care about your feelings. History is what history is. And the fact is, the LP was founded and remains a propertarian party, believing that property rights are human rights. It's not negotiable as to whether people can own property. Like, when I mean own property, I mean you can be a landlord. Some people will know what I'm referring to. This isn't to say somebody's not a libertarian or anything like that. It's just saying the facts. And no matter how much some people might not like it, there's a lot of things I don't like. The LP is a propertarian party. Always has been. All right. And to strive for maintaining free entry into the market for everyone. No favorites, no free lunches, and no exceptions. We understand that Steve has been using our temporary platform of a source of position statements. Good. Half the Libertarian candidates today don't use our platform for their position statements. We could certainly use Steve in Congress, so if you'd like to contribute to his campaign, there's an address in Idaho. Guy W. Riggs has announced for a seat in the New York State Assembly 99th District as a Libertarian/independent candidate. An executive with IBM, Gary asks, and what would I do for you as your assemblyman? Oh my God, I love this. And he answers by saying, absolutely nothing. Oh, I love it. Beautiful. His material states that he is not for, his material states that he is not for civil or economic liberty, not human or property rights, but for the unalienable right of every human being to his or her liberty and property. New York Libertarians certainly have someone to work for this year, and aid from non-New Yorkers would be welcomed. And here's his address in Poughkeepsie. All right. If there are candidates in your state, you, for instance, let us know so that we can publicize their efforts. And then a little info box at the end here. 3 ways to get an attractive LiberSign pin. Damn, I want that pin. Display your commitment to libertarianism. Set yourself apart from the collectivist herd by wearing a solid 14-karat gold why do I always want to say LiberSign pin. You can get one by any of the 3 following methods. Buy one. It was only $4.95. Sorry. I'm sure that was like a significant amount then. From Frantonio Specialties. Is Frantonio Specialties still around? And if they are, do they still have the mold? I can see something I'll be looking up. Become a lifetime member of the LP and we'll send you one in appreciation. Or accumulate 10 membership points and rip off a freebie. Act today. Supply is unlimited. No well-dressed libertarian should be without one of these attractive, now we get a description of them, attractive 3/8-inch doohickeys. may be used as a tie tack, lapel pin, scarf pin, thumbtack, or secret weapon. Supply your own. What is that? Hold on. There's a word I don't know. Supply your own curare? C-U-R-A-R. What is a curare? Hey Siri. What is a curare? Not a Q. Why is Siri useless? No. Oh. Mm-hmm. That didn't help Siri. But let's have some fun with Siri for a second. Hey Siri. What's the difference between a duck? No, Siri, never mind. Never mind. Go away. Go away. Thank you. Okay. Such a deal. Now I want to know what that is. But all right, that is our March 1972, and we did it in an hour. Good. That's about what I'm aiming for all of my rambling. I've got a ton of fodder here for bonus episodes. Probably work on some this weekend because this has been my goal, and we're going to be closing up here. And obviously, I've fallen behind. I wanted to go month by month, keeping within the month we're in. So ideally, I would be doing November 1972 now. Well, it's not November yet, but it's almost November. I'd be doing October 1972 now. Obviously, I'm behind since we're doing March. But I think I'm going to schedule one of these boom, 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 boom till we get caught up because that's going to keep things easier on me. And that is it for today. I will be pulling down the live stream to edit it into something where it doesn't have all my learning curve and then put it back up. And it will have the links and the things that I've promised you. And maybe I'll throw up some of those pictures or some of the other items where I said, ooh, I have that. Ooh, I have that. So please be on the lookout for the final version, I guess what is I'm trying to say. And if you have not, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like and share, and all that other jazz. And thank you, everyone who's kept me company during this stream. It makes it a whole lot more interesting than just me sitting here talking to the camera. I hope to see you next time. And thank you, Kenneth, and have an awesome night. Me guapas.